Hi, everyone. This is Tammy from the Sisterhood of Women in the Paranormal. I am having tech difficulties with Skype. I apologize. I'm waiting for my guest, Linda Marie Johnson, to call in. So, welcome to the Sisterhood of Women in the Paranormal. Today is Tuesday, August 19th, and we're actually having warm weather tonight. So that is amazing. So I'm just waiting for Linda to call in. So Linda, if you're here, if you can hear me, call in, please. You? See what's going on. I'm going to Lizzie Borden next week, which is going to be exciting. I can't wait. It's going to be wonderful, so I can't wait for that. Let's see. In September, I'm going to the Finger Lakes Paracon in Auburn, New York, and there's going to be lots of vendors there. So that is exciting. So I'm hoping to, here is my guest.
Hello.
Linda, hello?
Yes.
Hi. I apologize.
Sorry about that.
We only have 19 minutes. I apologize.
That's okay.
I'm having Skype issues.
That's okay. I'm having issues with my Skype, too, so I think it's a national thing. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's acting kind of funny today.
And I apologize to my listeners for my dogs. My dogs tend to freak out if you're not in the same room as them, so.
Oh.
So, Linda, tell us a little about tell our listeners a little about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm actually a fellow host here on DTM with my radio show Alpha Star Radio. I am a certified astrologer and tarot reader. I learned my astrology method. I don't practice modern astrology, but the 16th century Nostradamus method. I was taught by a gentleman named Dr. Louis Torrey. If any of you follow Coast to Coast or Ground Zero Radio with Clyde Lewis, you've heard him before. I don't always agree with everything he says, but he was a good teacher, and I learned a lot of great things. I have an advantage over some of his other students because I've lived a very pagan path before meeting him. I was a Wiccan. I was in many covens since an early age, so I've always walked a very metaphysical path and always have been, I wouldn't say enchanted, but intrigued with the nature religion and honoring goddess and empowerment of women. So that's a little bit about me.
And this is why I wanted to have you on the show. Not only are you a host on DTM Wicked Radio, but you're out and you do astrology, but you're also a witch. And I wanted to talk about the Sisterhood of Women Witches. Can you tell us a little about the Sisterhood of Witches?
Yes. Well, the Sisterhood of Witches is, like I said, it's about the empowerment of women. I would almost say it correlates with the divine feminine. I don't know if anyone out there has ever heard of what the divine feminine means, but the divine feminine, she's everything. She's the planet. She's the universe. She, through the ages, even Mother Mary Magdalene, was the Christian version of the divine feminine prior to that. But it's an empowerment of women. It's not necessarily, I've been in several covens where I've had women go into it thinking, I want to be a witch because I want to be strong and powerful on someone. If you go into it with that thought process without really opening your heart up to the goddess and loving her and thanking her for your small blessings in life, then you will never be successful and never have power. Your power will be taken away from you if you go into it with ill intent.
Okay.
What else could I say? And like I said, it is about the empowerment of women. You know, it's about loving thyself and being strong within. And when you're healthy inside, it's going to exude to your outside. So when you have a healthy inside, healthy heart, healthy mind, that's going to exude to the outside. And it doesn't matter what age you are, whether you're the maiden, who's the young witch, the mother, who's that's my age, or the crone, who is the elder witch. There's beauty within all of us as women.
I agree. Now, also, you know, if we go back to Salem in the witch trials, if you think about it, it was against women.
It was. It was against women, and it comes down to one thing I always say, and it's religion. Religion is evil. I have seen more atrocities with religion. And unfortunately, the United States and England did the most witch burnings. Countries like Germany and Italy were not as prone to it as, not that atrocities didn't happen in Italy, because once the Vatican came in, a lot of pagans died. In fact, the Vatican itself is built over pagan burial ground. And I always say, and I've said this on my radio show, when the Vatican falls, I'll be dancing naked there for my ancestors. So, unfortunately, you know, with the witch burnings and the witch trials, there were many, many people that died that weren't even practicing witches. It was just this hysteria, and I think it comes from the food they ate. Part of it was there was something with the wheat that gave them hallucinations, and I mean we've heard different stories from all different things, but it's actually a fun place to go if you're a ghost hunter, because there's a lot of hauntings from that era on many places in the New England area. It's a place I'd love to go someday and visit.
I actually been to Salem, and I actually been in some of the buildings, and even the museum, the witch museum, is haunted. I felt something like following me, like around in the basement of the witch museum. So there's a lot, and surprisingly, the old cemetery there isn't haunted like people say it is.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's all hearsay.
Yeah.
Well, there's always those, you know, rumors and made up stories, you know. Yeah. But one of my favorite witches, who is someone I kind of consider a mentor, comes from Salem, and that's Lori Cabot. I don't know if any of you out there have heard of her. She's the Grand Witch. I mean, she is the Madam of Sorcery, and I have so much respect for her. I have yet to meet her, but she's on my bucket list. I hope she doesn't leave this world too soon yet. I know she's getting up there in years, but
yeah. Now, there is different types of witchcraft. There is the dark, and there's the white, and there's the in-between. Can you explain that a little?
Well, the dark side dabbles more, and it's not necessarily, there's a difference between a satanic witch and a Wiccan witch, or a witch that dabbles with the darker side of things. I mean, we can use Lilith as an example. Right. Lilith is the goddess of Saturn. I believe she was the daughter of Satan, or Lucifer, if you want to call her that. But there's always shades of gray, and what I mean by that is I don't call myself a white witch. I don't call myself a black witch. There's always those shades of gray, and what I mean by that is I've only done it once, but there was a time when I had to banish someone's powers because they were being very manipulative. They were being very destructive, and the 5 other ladies in my coven, we had to banish this one witch's powers because she was doing it to hurt people, and that's the little bit darker side of witchcraft. Then there's the satanic witch who, has no problem with the animal sacrifices and slitting the goat's throat for the blood. And I don't turn my nose down at that, but I love animals. And I have a cat sitting on my lap as we speak. When I do readings on air for people, there's a cat on my lap. I use animal energy to empower me, to empower my readings. I'm connected to animals, so there's just no way in hell I could ever slaughter a chicken or slit the throat of a goat for the blood. And that's kind of going on the verge of voodoo, too. A lot of voodoo magic is done with animal blood. Right. But there's always shades of gray. If someone says, I'm strictly a white witch, well, there'll probably come a time in your life when you're going to have to move over to the shade of gray because an element will come up, a situation will come up, and you have to make those decisions with a very level head. So there's different variations, and there's different paths, too. Some people go the Dionic path, which is a lot of lesbians go to this path because this is straight, feminine. The Dionic path is total feminine energy. They don't really talk too much about a god. It's straight female energy, as to where I grew up in an Italian household, and so I practice more of the strega witchcraft, stregarity, as they call it. And it's very similar to Catholicism, because a lot of witches back then had to fall under the realm of the Catholic religion. And I always say, and I said this on my own show, Catholicism is Christianized witchcraft. So, there's all kinds of different paths, just like there's all different kinds. You've got Catholics, you've got Protestants, you've got, Baptists. Even in Christianity, there's all these little breakdowns of different paths.
Right. And, Linda, just to let you know my background, my family was homeless for a while and had to go live with this family, and they told me they were Italian witches, but they were dark Italian witches, and they did a lot of conjuring and up things, and I saw a lot of negative things in their home, and I was attacked physically by it.
Oh, God. So, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it was more on the voodoo side.
And that is one thing I can say. A lot of people that, claim to be witches, I can pull someone's stars and look and see if they're a witch or not. When I first had my reading done by my own teacher, never told him I was in covens before, and that was the first thing that came out of his mouth. He said, "You're a natural-born witch, and you come from a long line of them." And I'm like, I am? Really? How do you know that? And I finally learned how he did that. But there are people out there that can abuse anything, whether it's Wicca and witchcraft, whether it's Christianity, or just like these priests who molest children and they hide under the cloak of the church. There's evil everywhere, and evil lurks. And I'm really, really sorry that had happened to you, because I think some people don't realize that when you conjure up something, if you don't close it back out, it's going to stay there. And it may not attack you, but it's going to attack a poor innocent person that doesn't know what the hell is going on. And I feel really bad that has happened. And I want you to know karma does come, even to them.
Yeah, they been to them. They still have things happen to them tenfold. Like a lot, I don't associate with them at all anymore, because they have a lot of bad stuff that happens to them to this day.
See.
So.
See, and that's what happens. People don't realize that when you dabble in the darker stuff, and there are times when you do have to turn for certain situations, the darker side of things, but when you turn to that, actions have consequences. And when you do that, you're going to have consequences. And like you said, they're suffering, and their karma is being paid back to them big time.
Yeah. So, Linda, you are also a radio host on DTM Wicked Radio. Can you tell us a little about your radio show?
Well, my radio show, my show has been named a couple of different names. I started out in 2011 on a local AM station here in California where I'm at, and it was a very political radio station, very liberal and political. And, how do I say this? There were a bunch of asshats. I mean, anytime you're dealing with liberal, not necessarily liberal, but atheists. I had a lot of liberal atheists, and liberal atheists don't believe in the paranormal. You know, everything is about science. So I was a host with my teacher, Dr. Tori, and I had a show called Astrology with T, and then it changed to Cosmic Radio. And then I ended up not doing the show anymore with Dr. Tori, and I moved on to BBS Radio, which is probably one of the worst internet radio stations around. Too pricey, always having issues. Then I went to Blog Talk, and then from Blog Talk, I have come to DTM. But my show, Alpha Star Radio, was renamed back in, just recently, back in, I'm going to say March of this year. And it was named by a Lapon Apache Indian chief by the name of Chief Sony Reyna. He said, Linda, I had a vision. You are Alpha Star Radio. You're the Alpha Star female of the stars. You have to go with that name. I had the vision. When the chief says he's had a vision, you got to go, okay, sir, I will take that. and there's the name. That's how the name came up. So the rest is history.
And you do read signs, the star signs, because I had a reading, and it was amazing. You were right on target about mine. I was in the chat room when your radio show was on. So, and you told me that in the past I was a witch, which I've been told that. So.
That was you, and you were a paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
I sat there looking at it because she's I didn't know if it was male or female. I'm going, whoever this is into the paranormal world of some sort. I'm almost thinking you were an investigator, and sure enough.
And I am a Taurus all the way. I mean, my personality is very Taurus. I'm 100% Taurus.
Well, Taurus are very good souls. You're one of the most stubborn signs in the zodiac. I will say that. So is your polar opposite, Scorpio. But good-hearted people, I tell you. Good people.
Yes. And Tauruses don't get along with, they get along with Taurus. My mother is a Taurus, too, and we, heads big time, so.
Well, two bulls, it's almost like having two rams. You know, when two rams fight, it's like their heads butt, like an Aries. Yeah. Anytime you have, cloven hoofed creatures, whether it's Taurus or Aries or Capricorn, you're going to fight with each other. I fight with my fellow Capricorn counterparts a lot. I don't usually fight too much with Taurus because I just let Taurus, I know Taurus. Taurus blows up, gets mad, and then goes back out to the pasture to graze. Taurus has to get it out of their system. I'm done now. Leave me alone. I'm going to graze and relax. But Taurus has to get it out of their system first. And you kind of freak out when a Taurus yells. It's like, oh, damn. Okay. But very good-hearted people, Tauruses. One of my favorite signs. That could be because I'm a Capricorn, and we get along very well. All the earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So.
All right, Linda, tell your listeners where they can reach you, because we only have 90 seconds left on the show. So.
Okay, well, I have a website. It's called alphastarradio.com. It is in the process of being rebuilt, but it is still functional. And if you guys, I'm doing a $30 mini reading. It says it's through Skype, but it doesn't have to be through Skype. It can be through any, a phone call, email. I would go with that deal for now if you're still a little leery. The full life reading one thing it doesn't say on the website, but it will, is that with the full life reading, you get your lucky and unlucky days for the whole year. And I've searched around to all my graduating students, and I am the lowest price. My prices will never go over $100 ever, and I'm actually $75. I'm very inexpensive because I know times are tough for people, and not everyone can drop. Some of my students that I graduated with are charging $300. I'm like, that's like someone's Social Security check for the month. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So and my email address is alphastarradio@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. I'm always available for questions.
Great. And I want to thank you. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. Good night, everybody.